Welcome to Kevin Makes Cool Things. I'm Kevin, and this is a Shadow Exchange Runestone from the solo leveling manhwa. This is the simplest project I've posted. Generally, I make things with multiple pieces that have to be glued together. This just needed to be sanded and painted, which seemed way too easy, so I found a way to complicate it. I made 4 of them and tried out different paints and sealers. Runestones show up a few times throughout the series. I chose to make the Shadow Exchange one, which shows up in chapter 88 of the manhwa, because I thought it looked cool and it was a great chance to try out some new paint. I started modeling this by isolating the sigil on the stone. I opened this up in GIMP, rotated the image so it was straight on, and then traced over it with the pencil tool, which doesn't have anti-aliasing. This left me with a black copy of the sigil on a transparent background, which was exactly what I needed. I imported that image into OpenSCAD, which I use for all my 3D modeling, and created this beauty. I estimated the stone's measurements based on this reference image and replicated it in OpenSCAD. I scaled and maneuvered the sigil into the proper position. Then I used a difference and an intersection to cut the sigil into the stone. This cut was deeper than I wanted, so I created another stone, without a sigil cut into it, and scaled the height down. This made it look like the sigil was nicely carved into the stone. And with that, the model was done. I printed off a few of these and started sanding. After I got everything fairly smooth, I added some wood filler and then did another round of sanding. I added some white acrylic paint as a base, and then painted the sigil purple. Afterwards, I covered the rest of the stone in black acrylic paint. The sigil is depicted as glowing, which I couldn't do on this version, but I did use some gloss Mod Podge to make the purple slightly reflective. Now that I had 4 identical stones, I moved on to trying out different paints and sealers. The black acrylic paint didn't really pop, so I tried matte and gloss Mod Podge on the first 2 stones. The gloss Mod Podge isn't faithful to the pitch black stone we see in the manhwa, but I wanted to see how it looked. For the 3rd and 4th stones, I tried out some new paint. This is Stuart Semple paint. I purchased it a while ago, and I've done some little tests with it, but this is the first project I'm using it on. It seemed like a perfect fit for a supernaturally black stone like this. This stuff is fairly expensive, at least compared to the generic paint I normally use, so I'm applying it over a black acrylic base coat to minimize the amount I need. It's not as dramatic a difference as I expected, but I'm glad I tried it. I had planned to leave one of these as is and coat the other one in matte Mod Podge, but then I discovered a problem. It turns out the Stuart Semple paint comes off when I touch it. I don't know if it normally does this, or if it's something I did wrong. If you've watched any of my other videos, it should be abundantly clear that, when it comes to painting, I don't know what I'm doing. Either way, to prevent a mess, I had to coat both of these in a sealer of some kind. I did one in matte Mod Podge and the other in gloss. I'm glad I poured the Mod Podge out before using it, because the paint started coming off on the brush. In the end, they all look pretty much identical. I have them carefully labeled because I can't tell the difference between them. I think that's okay because I'm happy with how it turned out. I really enjoyed this project. It was my first time making multiple things like this, and I found it really satisfying to compare the results. If you want to make your own, I've included a link to the files in the video's description. If you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, then like and subscribe.